Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I rise to speak about a very important issue that's affecting one of the most iconic towns in my electorate, Katherine. On the Stewart Highway, 3-hour drive south of Darwin, sits the town of Katherine, and as I've said here so many times, because I'm so proud to speak about the Northern Territory, I want to share that Katherine is home to more than 10,000 people. And on the outskirts of the town is the raft-based Tyndall. And Tyndall sits on top of the water aquifer that has been a water supply of many families and services in the area for decades. It's been over a year since the residents of Katherine were first alerted to the PFAS situation. In November 2016, the Department of Defence reported that PFAS, from the use of firefighting foam on the base in the 1970s and 80s, had contaminated the water. This was a shock to all Territorians, especially those living in Katherine, and the contamination in the aquifer caused precautionary measures to be taken. Residents who relied on bore water were told to stop drinking the water. By Christmas, 40 properties around Tyndall and Katherine had been supplied with drinking water by the Department of Defence. Now, if we jump forward almost 12 months to October 2017, the ABC Four Corners program airs across Australia featuring Katherine, and the name of the program, Contamination. And I do want to read the introduction to the chamber because it really goes to the heart of this issue that still deeply concerns the residents of Katherine. And I quote, "Imagine being told you can't drink the water in your own home or swim in the local pool, or finding out that your home may be effectively worthless because your water supply has been contaminated for years by toxic chemicals." End of quote. So just imagine that. Imagine that. And the people of Katherine are like the rest of the Territory. They're tough and they're resilient and they are prepared to fight. Understandably, the people of Katherine are anxious about the widespread nature of the PFAS contamination and the unknown consequences of ingesting or recreationally coming into contact with PFAS. And since the contamination was detected, Katherine residents have been told not to drink the water, been told not to swim in the pool, the town pool that is, faced water restrictions, been told they have to wait for blood tests, and had new water tanks installed. All of these things they've taken in their stride, but they are looking for answers. They're attending the information sessions, but often the questions they have can't be answered because the right government agency isn't there to answer it. Now, since PFAS was found in Katherine, residents have been dealing with numerous government agencies. Through the Senate estimates process and asking questions of various government departments, my colleagues and I were able to gain a bit more of an understanding of the progress of the Turnbull government's response to the affected areas. A single point of contact for government agencies working on the PFAS issue in Katherine is what people need. It's incredibly frustrating, all these questions, and I have asked so many times. I've also asked here in the chamber of Defence Minister Payne and been told that I should ask the Health Minister or to ask questions in estimates and to be referred on to the PFAS Task Force at PMC. I just ask the Minister and the Cabinet to take into consideration that the inability to find answers here is really what is at the heart of the concerns for myself as the Senator for the Northern Territory, but also for the residents of the Northern Territory. This frustration is tenfold in Katherine because it's incredibly frustrating to be caught in a web of bureaucracy about something incredibly vital to the health and well-being of the residents there. So I ask again, why can't the residents of Katherine have a single point of PFAS contact from federal government agencies? Another thing that residents of Katherine have asked for is blood tests. We've heard ministers and senior public servants dismiss the value of blood tests. We've been told that, and I quote, "There is no proven value in doing blood tests, and the only concern would be creating unnecessary anxiety and concern in the community." End of quote. And that was by Chief Medical Officer Professor Murphy. Another quote from Minister Payne, "But when that data is available, when the health experts will make the assessment on whether the blood test, on whether and how, if that is appropriate, blood testing is made available." End of quote. It's not good enough. It is not good enough to keep telling the people of Katherine to wait. I know, and so do the people of Katherine, that the blood tests offered to people in other jurisdictions were offered at the same time as other environmental testing was being undertaken. And for anyone that wants to argue that point, I refer you to the estimates in Hansard. If blood tests will give the people of Katherine some peace of mind, reduce anxiety and confusion, why does the government insist on denying them this process? Why? Why are you denying the people of Katherine the process of blood testing? If the refusal for blood tests wasn't bad enough, at the beginning of November, the Turnbull government delivered another blow to the residents dealing with PFAS. After dragging its feet on the establishment of an expert health panel to provide advice on potential health impacts associated with PFAS, the government gave residents just 19 days to make a submission during the consultation process. Next week, I will be welcoming the Mayor of Katherine Town Council, Fane Miller, to Canberra. She will be joined by the Council CEO and residents of Katherine, and they're coming to Canberra. Katherine residents have had enough. The Katherine Town Council has had enough. They want to be heard, they want to be met with, they want these questions around blood testing and other incredibly serious matters dealt with. And they want to meet with government ministers to get moving on a PFAS solution. Earlier this year, Northern Territory member for Katherine, Sandra Nelson, came to Canberra to meet with government ministers about PFAS. The member for Lingiari, Warren Snowden, and I, together with Mayor Miller and local member Sandra Nelson, just want what is fair for the residents of Katherine. If a blood test and a single point of contact for the government agencies working on the PFAS issue will give the residents of Katherine some peace of mind, the least the government can do is to give it to them before Christmas.